Welcome to the Real Chat Podcast,
where we talk business, lifestyle, and mindset.
For the modern entrepreneur.
I'm Baxter Colburn.
I'm Allyson.
I'm Mandi Wilkie. Let's chat.
All right, welcome to the next episode of the Real Chat Podcast. I am Baxter. That's Allie and Mandi. Ladies, it is a new episode and an opportunity for us to continue to do whatever this is on a weekly basis, right? We had different words for it off microphone before on what it is that happens in our lives, right? But I look forward to this time every week. I don't know about you, but I've had more people ask me consistently over the last couple of weeks, how's your podcast? How's your podcast? People are asking my wife, how is Baxter's podcast going?
Baxter's podcast?
Well,
when does this become Baxter's podcast?
They don't know the two of
totally
you,
kidding.
right? But
Totally
people
kidding.
are asking though, and I don't know if that's happening to you, but that's really cool to see the fact that we are growing more.
Yeah.
People are asking more questions, which I think is kind of a unique thing.
I love hanging out with you guys.
I do too.
Talking about some really intentional topics, talking about some random stuff that we just decide on a whim is fun for me. I think it's authentic, it's real, it's exactly what we want the podcast to be. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we have a lot of things that we want our viewers to talk about as well with us that we can talk more about, especially in the entrepreneur world, business world.
Yeah.
But I look forward to it. I feel like we took such a hiatus because life was so busy for the first part of the year, but it's I'm happy to be back and I'm excited to be a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think there's a little bit of that. We want to be relevant to the people that are watching us and listening to us. So debating what we're going to talk about and how we're going to talk about it.
Correct.
It's one of the hardest things.
It's
absolutely
figuring out what we're going to wear, those two. But because we can talk about things that are important to us, but if they're not important to people that listen. But I do appreciate that people are reaching out.
Yeah.
Have you had some people reach out? And say they're enjoying it? Or they like something?
So many people that are I love listening to your podcasts. Mm-hmm. It gives me life.
Yeah.
That's what someone said to me the other day. And I was like, oh, really?
So thanks. Well, I would hope that it would make someone feel less lonely in the world of entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Or just in general.
Yeah.
We're at the end of the day, we're three people that, yes, we are defined a lot of the times as business, as our businesses.
Right.
I am my brand. A lot of people, I think sometimes get that mixed up, that sometimes as an entrepreneur, your job never stops. Your brain never quits. You have all these people that are asking you all these things that are kind of, in your circle all the time. But we are, at the end of the day, three individuals that, have regular lives and
it's interesting. I think what the podcast has done is it's connected some people that aren't in my circle today. And kind of a cool thing after I had our podcast with Raleigh.
Now it's Mandi's podcast.
Oh,
later it'll be yours. We can all take turns with it.
I am for that. I love that.
I meant the episode where we had Raleigh on.
To be fair, it was really more her and Raleigh. That one. And Allie and I were just happy to be there.
It was a little bit of the us show. This is us. But it was funny because one of my closest friends in college, her mom reached out to me. And she's like, oh my gosh, I saw the podcast with you and Raleigh. And she doesn't really know my daughter other than through, social media. But Sue was here for my wedding, years and years and years and years ago, my original wedding. And she was here. And she's like, it's just so amazing to see the person that you've become from the person that I saw when you were 19, 20, 21.
I love that.
Yeah, it was so fun. So we reconnected and it was just great to hear from her and always great to get positive feedback.
And you never know who you're going to reach. You never know who's listening. There are so many people out there that listen that never or comment or reach out or tell you I hope that you would like everything you see if you're listening. But also there's so many people out there that are just kind of behind the scenes.
Right.
And you don't know whose life you're impacting by speaking the truth and speaking the real that's happening in your own lives and in your own business. There are so many people out there that are listening.
And we touched on this just a little bit on the last episode. We don't always know what topics that we're going to talk about, but sometimes it's okay to just be us.
Correct.
Because people that maybe haven't seen us or don't know us or have nothing to do with entrepreneurship might still enjoy spending 20, 30 minutes listening to us.
I think general conversation too creates topics that you maybe wouldn't think of.
For sure.
My wife had breakfast with someone over the weekend. That's one of her good friends. And it's always funny because I think people think sometimes when you do a podcast or you do something that's more forward facing, they assume that you're either wildly successful or you're making a lot of money doing it, right?
I didn't get my paycheck from our podcast.
Mine's in the mail is what I've been told. But she literally like...
Do they have my address?
One of the first...
Who sends the check?
One of the first questions she said this person asked, she's like, so like, how much money does Baxter make doing this podcast? And my wife was like, oh, like, I think they're just doing it for fun. And Rachel truthfully doesn't know much about what we do either, but...
Neither do I.
Yeah, she's like...
Neither do I, Rachel.
Yeah, and I was like, no, like, that's just kind of a thing. Like, obviously, we're totally open if anybody wants to sponsor us or do bigger things, but I'm like, no, like, it's not... Just because you start something like this doesn't always mean that there's massive financial backing behind it, but...
Correct.
That always makes me laugh because I've been in the podcast space for almost 10 years, and people still don't really have a good idea of like how it works.
Yeah.
So it still kind of makes me chuckle.
It's kind of like algorithms.
Like, you must be making like a lot of money doing that. Like literally we just do this for fun.
It's like notifications on TikTok, you guys.
But there is
too
a
many
potential.
notifications.
There's a potential to make money with podcasts
Absolutely
too.
Is. That's a
with the right
phenomenal
audience
medium.
and reach and all that
I don't
stuff.
think I'd say no.
I've had a lot of people
pay
reach out too and ask what it is, like what we're making for this. And I was like, smiles and laughs.
Memories to last a lifetime.
Memories.
What do you guys make on the podcast? Memories.
Correct. However, we have an opening for cash if you would like to slide that in next to our memories. Right?
I love podcasts that have Patreon or something like where they, or like you can send them coffee. Like if you like the podcast, Venmo us and send us a coffee because
I love
you know
that.
what I mean? Like,
that.
I think that's kind of a cool take on it too, because the people that are listening, they do want to support you.
Yeah.
It might not be monetarily because not everybody can just throw money.
Correct.
Right, but like our Advantaprint sponsor, who will be doing our merch.
That's super cool,
Allie emails the logo.
Allie.
You sent me that when I was on my way to my trip, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
I did not.
For sure.
How long have you been home, Allie?
Dropped the ball
But
there.
thank you, Advantaprint, for being a sponsor of the podcast. And we will soon have merch, so just visualize us wearing matching sweatshirts. Right?
True.
Yeah.
I mean, technically we have 3 sponsors, right? We have, all 3 of our businesses are sponsoring making this happen, right?
I would like to make a request that my sweatshirt is oversized.
Classic.
Yeah, you bet.
I want a crop top, please.
We're all going to share it anyway. Who are you kidding? We're all going to wear each other's clothes while we're here.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Sorry, we digressed a little there, but that's okay.
Oh, that's normal.
It's true.
Yeah.
I'm excited for our episode today because our group text is one of my favorites because it's so random.
Because you have 39 notifications in one.
It's true. Like there was, I think it was last week or something. It was the day I think you came back or like the day after because you were like, hey, sorry, I'm back. And like you and Mandi just had like an hour conversation while I was in a meeting.
Take Baxter
and I was like,
offline
guys, like, can you just go to a subtext? I was like, dear God. I'm like, what's happening?
Yeah.
But it made me laugh.
I don't do well with group texts.
I'm only in a couple.
Allie responds her ahead. She responds her
Absolutely
head.
she does.
Yeah. She's like, they'll
It's normally
understand.
Mandi having the conversation with herself because she's answering her own questions.
This morning, that's how it
was like,
And I was
wait 10 minutes. And
You
she's
know
like,
what?
It's been a while since I've chimed in, so I'm going to chime in because honestly, that is what happens. I always respond in my head. What is wrong with me? I really do. I respond in my head and then
That's what happens
it's
to my
2 days
TikTok.
later and I'm like, is my comment relevant? They know. We have telepathy.
the principle of the matter.
We have a list of topics.
They know what I'm thinking
Somewhere.
about.
Somewhere. It's in a notebook on my desk.
From September.
Yeah,
It's true.
fine.
Well, one of the topics that we kept going back to, though, is one that we all really liked was what is one question that people ask you about your business? And then what is one question that you ask yourself about your business? Right?
Or what kind of keeps you up at night.
Keeps you up at night, right?
Yep.
So it's like a 2-parter of what's the most frequently asked question somebody says when they talk to Mandi or talk to Baxter or Allie, right?
Yeah.
And then what's the one thing that it's 12:30 in the morning and you're like,
Well, and it'd be interesting because I guessed yours. I was like, oh, I know what yours is. And then
What do
yours.
you charge?
Yeah. Yeah. I was
you
totally
could probably guess mine because I've talked to you about mine, I think.
Yeah,
a few
and then
times.
I
you could
think
probably guess mine.
I mean, I think I probably could have gotten to yours,
Yeah.
but that wouldn't have been the first one that I thought you'd get when people are calling on you about working with you.
Oh, gotcha.
So,
I
I
thought
mean,
the one
we
about
would-
keeping me up at night.
No.
Oh,
no.
the one that keeps me up at night. I think Allie should know what that one
Yeah.
probably is.
So I guess we don't have to have a podcast because we all know each other's
Yeah, so thanks for listening. Spotify, Apple Podcasts.
Have a
We'll see you
great
next
day.
week.
Well, do you want to start us off with what question you get asked all the time in your business?
And how do you respond?
Aside from what do I charge? Because I feel like that's such a broad.
Yeah.
obviously I run a
love
business.
that
So what
question.
do you charge, right?
Yeah.
Well, what do you want?
Yeah. Right.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That is definitely, I mean,
Have you gotten better at answering that question? Because I hated that question. I knew I had to have the conversation day one,
Yeah.
but when people now, I'm a lot more confident. Like, I've learned to ask better
It
questions.
depends what you're looking for.
Correct, and clarify as opposed to like, oh, here it is.
yeah.
Yeah.
Ah.
So I'm always trying to be accommodating to people. I think I've hit like a threshold now where I know what people want to work with me. I know people will save for a session with me, or the experience is like what I like to call it, because it's not just a session where it's like an hour and we're done, wash our hands, never talk again type situation. I think that, yes, I've gotten better at answering it because I'm more confident in my work. I know what I'm worth. If you don't think so, there is another photographer out there for you.
Yeah, I was just going to say, and for those of you that maybe haven't listened to our previous episodes, Ally's a photographer.
Oh, yes, correct.
Yes.
I'm a photographer.
So
Very,
that
very
might
talented.
help. We should probably, did you say that? I'm sorry if you did. But
No, I just said she's
that's
very,
okay.
very
Yeah.
talented.
yeah.
Yeah. And it's, I think, answering the question, and that's, obviously as I'm running a business, people have budgets, people are looking for specific looks and different styles of photography. And there is an abundance of photographers in the Brown County area. And, I'm lucky enough to have not really had to like market myself. People come to me, I give them my pricing guide. I spent a lot of time building a pricing guide that explains my experience, that explains what you can expect from the session, how you can prepare for it, how we're going to wrap up things at the end, the turnaround time, things like that, which I think does the talking for me. So when someone inquires on my website, hi, looking for prices for my child's first birthday. Well, hey, I have this guide that I send to you, this experience-based guide that you can essentially look at, see if we're a good fit. You get to know a little bit about me, where I started, and then they either respond or they say, you're out of my budget. And then I say, I accept payment plans, or if I'm just not it, then that's okay too. I will always accept payment plans. You can pay 20%, you can pay half down, you can pay the full amount the day of, you can pay.
That's amazing.
The leverage there is kind of like, you don't get your photos until I'm paid situation, but that's baseline. It's just like, I'm not throwing that in your face. I'm not like, well, you're not getting your pictures till you pay me. Right. It's just a common understanding that I have these available options for people that maybe really want to work with me, but don't have the funds right now up front to pay for that, which I'm not like outrageously expensive, but I think answering it with just confidence and being completely secure in who you are as a business owner and in the photography world, especially for photographers that listen to this. I've been doing this for 14 years, and I too once felt completely like almost shameful for charging what I was charging. Like, am I worth this? Are people going to actually be okay with that? And then I have people come back to me and be like, you could be charging triple what you're charging. Which does put things into perspective for me, because every year, a couple times a year, I like to look at what I'm charging, the experience I'm providing, what am I doing? And I think photographers alike all kind of do that at some point in their business. Sure. Everybody does that in their business, inflation and all the things, but answering that question, I think that's just my part. That's where I'm going to put, I'm not even going to say anything else. Is pretty just like standard for me now. I just,
so if you're price shopping, you're probably not the right fit, but if you are looking for an experience of storytelling and creating lasting memories.
Yeah. And if you want to be my friend.
And if you want to be your friend,
basically help
you have to pay,
there's not a monetary value for that. Obviously, you can be my friend without booking me for your photos. But I mean, like, I want to be your friend. I want to tell your story. I want to build. I don't want it to be one transaction and we're done. I want to know about you. I want to hang out with you. I want to like get coffee with you.
We talked about that in one of the previous podcasts. Totally. I want to do your senior pictures. Then I want to do your engagement photos. Then I want to do your wedding. Then I want to do your firstborn. Then I want to do their senior pictures. So, I mean, there are people out there that are like, what do you charge? Okay, I see this X amount of dollars. Nope, you're too high. Okay, that's where it ends. That's where it goes next. Yeah. But then you have those couple people that are really amazing, that really want to work with you, that are like, I don't really care what you charge. I want to know when you're available. Yeah. That's where it's like, for me, I'm like, yep, you're my type of person. I want to know you. I want to be friends with you. I want to experience things. Correct. So that's a question that
I will say though, one of my most favorite experiences I've ever been a part of for shoots was when you took my branding photos. That was supposed to be, I think, like 2 hours, and we were together for like 4.5. Yeah. Like, and it was a lot of fun. Like that was really, I think, one of my first like real moments with you. Yep. Like we had a very digital relationship at that point, and I think passing by like coffee every once in a while.
And
like,
knowing of each other's like,
and that was shortly after West
and
and everything too. Like, so you were just kind of, I think I was one of the first ones that you kind of got back into a little bit as well.
Space.
Yeah, in this space. And I remember that whole night. I always just, every time I look back at the photos, either I took as a part of you taking photos of me or you took of me as well. Like I just have such great memories of that whole night. And I'm like, I loved everything from start to finish about it. And it just, it's true. I can speak to that experience because Allie has shot multiple experiences in my life. And I'm like, it's never like, hey, thanks. Here's your photos. Have a nice night, guys. Good to see you. Like it is a whole complete picture, which I love.
And super huge kudos to you from a photographer to say that about a photographer, right? Because someone who's in the space of creativity and being critical and photography, right? You're going to look at images different than I'm going to look at images.
Correct.
And I think your profession.
Correct. And I think part of that is knowing what you do well and what you don't do well. Like I know that I can't provide a photo like what Allie does. Like her photos and the way that she frames her photos is just different than how I see something, right?
Sure.
Like, and I think that there's something just really quality about the way that you do that.
Thank you.
And I'm grateful for what people say about my work and all of that as well. But like, it's just a different level where I look at your photos and I'm like, I don't think I can do that. Like not in a bad way, but it's just like, that's such
it's not your style.
Yeah. It's just a different style. It's a different level for me that I'm like, wow, like, I always am so happy about what the stuff is that you post. I'm like, holy cow, she's so talented.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I feel like I've always tried to work on that aspect of it is like, what are my photos providing in a feeling sense? Like what is it providing the viewer that has no emotional connection to the person in the image?
Oh, I can speak to that because I just looked at your pictures of the new baby. The new baby boy. I don't know if I can say names. Can I say names? You had just done the new baby. Can we say that?
Sadie's baby?
No.
Who's baby?
Oh, from Alexis's?
Yeah. Can we say it?
Yeah, Alexis. Yeah.
But
they're family pictures.
Oh,
You
gosh. We talked about that earlier.
too. Yeah. Sorry, I was like I'm lost.
I was like, what are we doing?
But her post, her response was, I believe, if I have this right, you knocked it out of the park again.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm looking at these pictures and I'm like, oh, I want to have a baby. I want to have two beautiful little girls. I want navy blue chairs in my living room.
That's
like
how I look at her pictures. I'm like, I want to have a baby. I want to live in her house.
I know.
But I look at that and I'm like, look at how happy they are. Look at how joyous they are. Look at these two little girls loving on their new baby brother.
Oh my
and
gosh.
That family also just doesn't take a bad photo.
Right. I know. They're just,
And can I tell you, not to cut you off, but can I tell you something? When I arrived there, the girls were like playing in their playroom. Alexis was not ready. She was not even nursed him yet. She didn't even do her makeup yet.
Yeah.
And I hung out there and I played with the girls, and it was the experience of hanging out there with them. And I mean, it wasn't my whole afternoon, but it's like, I'm not going to charge you for the time that we're just chilling, hanging out.
Correct.
And also, like, I love her kids and I love all my clients' kids and I want them to love me back.
Yeah.
And
I was just going to say, by the time
match that child toddler energy because that's how much I adore my clients. But even at the end of that session, like, her husband tried shooting a buck in their backyard at the end of the session. And I'm like, I'm done taking pictures, but I'm going to pop my camera out and I'm going to take pictures of this.
I just want to know what's happening right now.
You know what I mean? Like that was the whole experience. Like their photos just, it showcases how at ease they are, how happy they are, how complete they are with their family, and how I've spent numerous times and numerous occasions with Alexis talking about her journey and her journey to meeting her baby boy. And she felt like she was pregnant.
Story she shared about the dream.
And she felt like she was pregnant forever and all these things. But yes, he is. I mean, their family is just precious.
But it also speaks to the fact that by the time you were there to photograph the girls, they were already like in awe of you and adored you. So yeah, you know where sometimes it's like, okay, kids, the photographer's here. Shape up. And they're like, right?
They're like, can I show you my doll, please?
Yes.
Can we dress my doll up? I'm like, yeah, we can.
Yes. Okay. So, sorry.
And I mean,
beautiful family.
And to kind of go into that too, it's like the same thing that keeps you up at night, the same question that I ask myself, because here's the thing. I take a lot of pride in my creative edge and how I approach my sessions. And I've had a lot of photographers reach out and be like, could I ever shadow you? Could I ever come along just on a family session? Because what the heck are you doing to get these moments? What the heck are you doing to get these shots? I think the exact same thing about some of my idols' work too. Like, these are some moments that I mean, there's a photographer I follow, India Earle. She's amazing. Like, her storytelling is it keeps me awake. Like I literally will scroll her work and I'm like, how do I do that?
Yeah.
First of all, do I have to go to the desert to do that? Like I want to go to the desert.
Possibly.
Somebody
Green
book
Bay.
me at the salt flats, you know, in Utah. Like, please, let's just go there.
Yeah.
And you know, I feel like I just, I don't know, like that's one of the questions that keeps me up at night. Like, the creative edge that I possess and how much I want to provide this unique experience is like, am I doing that enough? Am I being creative enough for these clients of mine that they are really truly happy with the work that I'm providing? Or is it like really repetitive? I have a lot of clients that I do a lot of work with all the time that I'm constantly going to them every couple weeks, every month or so, because I do branding photography for them. And so that question that I ask myself is, am I doing enough in my business to sustain this relationship that I have? But then I go back to like, I'll wake up the next morning, I'll be like, okay, your brain was playing tricks on you because yes, your relationship with them is secure and you know, they're doing the best that you can and they see that and they love your work and they're telling you that, and that validation is there even though my brain is playing tricks on me. So that's one of the questions that keeps me up at night, but that's enough about me, Mandi.
Oh, you want me to go next?
Yeah.
You want to go next?
I think it's just a good segue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Work your way down.
Okay. So for those of you who don't know, I own a private monthly magazine that goes to homeowners in the Green Bay area. And
Just beautiful.
Thank you. One of the questions I get asked from potential partners or clients all the time is ROI. I get asked so much that now I like speak to it before I get asked. And I literally say this, like my definition of ROI is relationships of influence. I'm going to put you in front of people that are highly influential in our community. When and if they use you, they're going to talk about you. So they may or may not use you. It depends on what your services are. If you're a wedding venue and they're already married and don't need it, they might not use you, but they'll know about you and they'll share it with other people. Or when someone says, hey, do you know of somebody? Yeah. So, a lot of businesses want to know a measurable ROI when they're investing in something. What's my ROI? What's my ROI? I can't promise you any of that. And I'm just pretty open about it. Something I've been saying the last 3 weeks, and it makes me feel better to be this transparent and honest. And if somebody thinks that's too transparent and honest, that's okay.
And you don't know Mandi well enough.
Then you don't.
That's just who she is.
I'm probably going to tell it like it is. But I will make one promise in the world of marketing, because in marketing, it's really hard to make promises. Yeah. So I will make one promise. My promise is tomorrow that more people that get my magazine will know about your business, trust your business, and understand something about your business than did yesterday.
Correct.
That is it. That is the only promise I make. And I
feel like that's a really good promise.
It's a very good promise.
That's it. That is
More
it.
exposure.
I promise you that if we go knock on 100 doors today, and then we knock on 100 doors again in 3 years, you're going to have a better response to people knowing who you are in 3 years. Like that is my promise. Yeah. If that is cool for you and you want more people to know that you are an option and you are available, great. But I can't promise that they're going to come and use you. I can't promise that they're going to buy from you. I can't promise I'm going to bring somebody in. Do those things happen? Sure. But those aren't my promises.
Yeah.
So that is the question I get all the time, and now I just tackle it before I think
is great. I've sat close to you.
You've heard 3,000 presentations.
I have, because Mandi and I will work at Taza, and I will sit 2 to 4 spots over from her, and we'll hear you. She's not. And I mean that lovingly. But like, I feel like I could give your presentation for you. You are. You absolutely are. But I can tell though, like with an honesty, that it is the same consistent pieces every time. And like, I sit there and like, as I'm typing or working on stuff, I'm like,
now she's going to talk about ROI.
Exactly.
She's going to talk about the Switch It magazine.
Great big business practice. Yeah. I feel.
Yeah.
It's the other thing is we don't promise exclusivity.
Yeah.
And so you've probably heard me do this 100 times too. I'm like, and we don't promise exclusivity. The biggest reason is we have a lot of business owners in our neighborhood. So it's not fair for me to say yes to one dentist and no to the other 8. So we don't promise it. And then I sit there quietly, which is not my niche. And I look at them awkwardly and I say, did I make it uncomfortable enough for you yet? Because now I'm going to say it again. Yeah. We do not promise exclusivity. And I say, I know it was weird and I sat there for a minute and I made it uncomfortable. I did that on purpose. So you will never forget that I said that, because the last thing that I want is for you to come back and say, well, you promised I'd be the only flooring company. No, I didn't. I can't promise that. Never. It's not part of my franchise. I cannot do that.
Do you ever have people like not like, I don't know, like, do you ever have people that are like really,
Well,
really
I want to be
uncomfortable
the
in that?
only one, you're saying?
Yeah, like, do they look at you and be like, I want to be the only dentist?
Oh yeah, I've had people that will not partner with me if I do not allow them to be their only one. And I'm funny. I'm like, so are
It's
you
a
the only
magazine.
one that can put up a billboard, or the only one that can buy a commercial?
It's a magazine.
or
It's like
some
the
radio
idea of it
space?
to me just like is bizarre to me, because if I was in your magazine and then I saw another photographer in your magazine, I would be like,
Me.
I love that for us.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
let's connect.
Hi over there.
You know what I mean?
And I will tell you that this has happened to me only a couple of times, but it has happened to me where I've gone to business A and said, hey, would you love to be in the magazine? And they're like, sorry, no thanks. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then I go on to a different person in their industry
And they say yes.
and they say yes. And then I get a call back from this person.
Yeah.
They're like, ooh, now I want to be in the magazine. So I will tell people that, like, listen, my promise to you is this. Once I fill the industry, I'm not, if I filled the flooring company, for example, I'm not going to go meet with 3 other flooring companies.
Correct. Yeah.
But if they come to me, there's
Exactly.
nothing that I can do about it
Right.
until I complete every listing that I need. An eye doctor, a dentist, a flooring company, a pet poop picker upper, whatever it is that my residents need. I'm not going on to another person in your industry. That is my promise.
Yeah. Right.
Because that's good business. But if they come to me and they're a good fit, there's nothing I can do about that.
Do you feel that way in the way that you do business? Do you feel like you have no cap on like hair salons or chiropractors or like anything of that nature, right? Like I don't feel that way personally. Like I work with a lot of different real estate agents and
Right.
a lot of different companies and brands and
you
similar
never say to one, like, I'm not
genres.
working with any more realtors.
No,
Yeah.
I find it interesting because at least how I've learned, everybody's different. Like everybody wants something different,
Yes.
which is, I think, more fun because I'm like, oh, why can't I work with 6 real estate agents? Because it's 6 different experiences.
And then why not specialize in what makes you different?
Correct.
Because every business owner, and I always say, what makes you different from someone else in your industry? And you can't say customer service.
No.
That's not an answer I'll accept.
Right.
But then let's capitalize on that, and that's just where I'm at. So I think that's my question. What keeps me up at night? Do you want me to be totally honest?
Yeah.
Social media is not part of my job. Nobody pays me for the social media that I do. Stroll Ledgeview Instagram, Stroll Ledgeview Facebook page. That is strictly for fun.
They don't have you, like, that's not part of like the Stroll magazine of like, just make sure you have one account for your,
No.
really?
No,
That's
if
I
you
would
were
have
a partner
considered
with
that
me-
a piece of it.
Yeah, a lot of people think it is because I feel like I do a pretty good job with my social
do a great
media.
job.
And I've seen other
And
Stroll accounts and across the country that
Yeah.
I feel like, so I was like, oh,
Some
maybe you
people
have to do
sell
at least
that service.
Oh, okay.
Some people sell that service. So if you want to be my inside front cover, I'll give you 2 posts a month on my social media. They make it part of their package. I do not. I tell people very candidly, listen, well, I'm going to tell you what I tell people because we're being real.
Yeah.
My social media is a bit of a shit show, but it's a free shit show. You cannot complain about it, but you get to be a part of it, and all of my following will see you.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's
Me
it.
too.
It's that transparent. It's a bit of a shit show. No complaints. No complaints.
Yeah.
I had someone who sent me an email the other day, and they're like, "You're not showcasing me on social media as much as other businesses." Remember that time when I said, it's free to you, you can't complain?
Correct.
There's no strategy to it.
No.
It's impossible for me to keep a strategy to
Correct.
it.
With so
It's not
many
impossible, but it's not what I do. I do the magazine.
Correct.
I was gonna say it'd be
So-
something you would have to outsource if you wanted a strategy to be.
Yeah, and I would spend more than a full-time. I mean, I
100%.
already give a full-time effort to the social media plus my full-time job.
But that would be like giving somebody a salary because
So
social
what-
media is a
Depending
job.
on how you
Yes.
go about it, though.
What keeps me up at night is that.
I know a great person for you if you want one.
No, not doing it. Is this business going to be upset because I posted this, or how do I showcase a plumber on my social media the same way as I do an injector boutique or a hair salon?
sure.
Like, that kind of thing. Am I giving everybody equal attention on social media? No, I'm not. Is that my job? No, it's not. So that keeps me up at night. But the only solution that I have to that is I just don't do it, or I monetize it, and that's the direction I go. And I'm not sure I can balance that and the magazine. Could I do social media for businesses? Maybe.
Yeah.
Could I do that as a job? Maybe. That's not my job. That's not what I want to do. So this is extra. So
Yeah.
there we go. There's my 2. What about you, Baxter?
Yeah, I think the biggest question that I get asked in my business, which I think is a compliment, is people ask me when I'm going to do my business full time. For those that don't know, I work a Tuesday through Friday, not a Monday through Friday, Tuesday through Friday, full-time job. I work in marketing for a manufacturing company. I've been there for almost 3 years, do very similar work to what I do in my business for this company on a daily basis. And I love it. I love my boss. I love the work I get to do. which I think, unfortunately, in our world is something a lot of people say consistently about their
100%.
jobs. Unfortunately, I've just been very blessed the last 3 years to have some great leadership and good guidelines to grow and do a lot of fun things in the marketing world. So I think that that's a compliment, but I know that that also is an issue because I've had clients leave or potential clients say, well, if you're not going to be available when I need you, I'm going to go find somebody else, which I get. And at first I took offense to that. And I was like, but like, we had a great conversation. Like you were ready to go.
Yeah.
And just because I can't make one random Thursday, like you're just all of a sudden this is a no. Like, why can't we look at other possible days? Or if you give me enough in advance, I can take a day off of work or I can take a half day. Right. Like, and obviously the right people stay, but that I think is the biggest thing. Like I feel like I've moved past are you making any money? That was my family's question for a long time. And I told them, I'm like, yes.
Wait, we're supposed to make money at this
I think
thing?
so. But I've told them, I've never really shared direct numbers, but I've been like, yeah, like the last 2 years, I've made more money in my business than I have at my day job. And I'm like, and I don't not make good money at my day job.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm like, that at least kind of puts their mind at ease. And they're like, oh, okay. Like if people want to talk numbers, sure, I'm happy to do that. I've never been one of those weird people like, oh, well, I'm not going to tell you what I make. Like, what do you, especially for other business owners that have asked or are starting out. And I'm like, yeah, like this is what I charge. This is what I've done here. Like,
or what's realistic for leaving a real job for your side hustle.
I had a meeting with my accountant over the weekend and I was like, realistically, like I have a number in my head, but like, what do I really need to be making to leave my full-time job?
Your
and
insurance, your benefits, your retirement.
To at least match what I'm making there on a yearly basis.
Right.
So, and she was like, oh, like you are still probably, I think I'm like $60,000 to $70,000 off of like where I need to be.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'm like, okay, like that puts it in perspective to me. Cause I was like, I think I'm getting close. And she's like, nope, like for everything that goes into that number, you're still a bit off. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's good to know. So now I have a bigger goal in my head.
Right.
So signing more quality, bigger clients as opposed to a bunch of small little guys.
Your A clients instead of your C clients.
Correct. Yeah.
And I think it's interesting. It'd be interesting if you like tracked who asked you that question, because I think a lot of times people who aren't entrepreneurs forget that there's a lot of things that factor into entrepreneurship's income.
Correct.
So, yes, there's the tax side of it and the health insurance side of it and the retirement side of it. But there's also like for me, like if I'm not working, I don't have any other way to generate income.
Yep.
Correct.
So there's no backup plan.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes having a backup plan prohibits us from going all in because we need that comfort of that number because we have a family, we have a baby on the way, we need the hospital coverage.
Yeah.
Like I'm through that season in my life for the most part. I mean, God forbid I need a big medical thing.
Yeah.
But if I was in a different state of my life, I might say, you know what, I have to have that medical insurance piece.
Yeah.
I don't have a choice.
Absolutely.
Because babies are expensive and things are expensive. So it'd be interesting just to see like who's asking you that.
Yeah.
Are they the people that are making income every day from a job, or are they entrepreneurs?
Well, I had a conversation with someone that was a previous entrepreneur that's kind of back in the work world again this morning, and she just asked out of curiosity. She's like, so like you do this full time, right? And I was like, no, I do not. She's like, really? She's like, you look like you're really busy. And I was like, you said the great word. I look like I appear like, why? I'm like, because I know how to market myself on social media, right? Like, and I don't ever want people to think that I'm like going over the top of like, oh, like I'm working, I'm hustling. I'm like, no, like there's weeks where I'm like, oh crap, I haven't posted once this week. I'm like, oops, I did something.
Shoot.
Yay, there you go.
Yeah.
But I'm a big proponent. I know you're this way too. Like if I just had a shoot that I really loved something from, I'd be like, look at all the things. Look at, wasn't it cool? Right. So then people are like, wow, you must be busy. I'm like, no, I just decided to post today.
Well, and just because you have one full-time job and another job doesn't mean you don't work full-time at both.
Correct. Right. Which I do.
It's the joke, like I just said with social media.
Yeah.
If people knew how much time I spend on social media, it would be the equivalent to a full-time job.
Correct.
And then I have another full-time job.
Yes.
One of them makes me money, one of them doesn't.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
but
true.
they both help my business.
You should really start thinking about monetizing social media.
You know what? If one more person tells me that.
There are so many things I feel
What's the
that
second
just
most
are
question
so
you get, man?
untapped. Like it's just so untapped. Social media,
There's
if you're an
so much-
entrepreneur, I think social media
there.
should be making you money.
That's why I
think
partnered with somebody this year to do social media management as like a 1-2 combination where she does the content planning and the posting, and I do all the content. So it's a 1-2 punch for people, because people kept asking me. I'm like, I don't. And now I brought somebody in. Right. So now she does all the work and we partner together. So it's cohesive, as opposed to like, oh, I did all this and I'm sure this has happened to you.
Yeah.
You turn something into people and you're like, so like, did you not like it? Like, I haven't seen you use it, or it's not on your website. You're like, oh yeah, we just haven't had a chance to post it. I'm like, it's been 5 months. Like, what do you mean? Like,
like I was 2 weeks ahead of the Real Chat podcast.
Social
media, and now I'm not.
Used it?
My fault.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna blame you.
It's my fault. It's fine. You can blame me. I'll take the blame.
That's fine.
Really cool. I just think that social media is a tool that is out there for entrepreneurs that should be used in a way that you can funnel in this new leads, income.
Yeah.
You can create guides. You can put your brain to work and sell it online. And I should probably take my own advice, because I have been working behind the scenes for almost 2 months on something that I'm going to release and sell. And it's something that I'm just very
making breaking news,
very passionate about. That's taking me a really long time. But I know that I do that work for that 3-4 month time. It could make me income forever. Passive income that
is it a course?
I do the work. It's
a course.
I do the work that I spend so much time on, and I pour myself into it.
Yeah.
And then it's something that's there forever that will bring value to people at different times of their life and whatever. And it's not really in the photography world. So it's something different. That's something that I feel is just one of my multi-passions.
Yeah.
But going back to that, I think, it's
something I can do. It's the age-old question is, how much time do I have?
Yeah.
It's true. Or do you partner with someone that can do it, right?
Or flip it. And we all have the same 24 hours in a day.
Yep.
What's the
Baxter went ahead and partnered with someone that is able to do that part of it.
And then you get your best friend that says, you haven't reached out to me in 2 weeks. I mean, it is.
But here you are. You're working. You're hustling. You're doing.
I'm out and about.
You're out and about, and you're doing that. And
things are happening.
That's great. And you can explain that to her. And if she's your best friend, she's going to know. And she's going to be like, you're right.
Yep.
Go you. Yeah. I'm here for you, but I do want to see your face.
Right.
And I want to get coffee with you, and I want to talk to you about it in person. And then it brings you back too. And you're like, you're right. We need to set aside time. Me and my best friend are exactly like that. We don't talk for like 3 weeks. And then all of a sudden I text her and I'm like, yo. I miss you. You have a new boyfriend and I need to meet him. And when are we getting margaritas?
Oh, I want margaritas.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
I didn't get that text.
Yeah.
Like, me and my best friend don't talk.
Me neither, but I'll still bring margaritas. Like,
you guys are invited.
I can be your fake boyfriend if that gets us margaritas. Like, whatever we got to do.
Awesome.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I don't know. I guess I think that's a really big question. I mean, sometimes you just have to like take a step back and be like, maybe this is something that I do want to do, or I do want to take more time, or you fit it into your pricing and you say, hey, look, this social media is something that's so powerful to me.
You sound like Shane.
It's so powerful to me. Yeah. And you spend so much time doing it. You should be compensated for that.
100%.
My personal opinion. I don't get paid for my social media either. I used to do someone's social media and got paid for it, and it was great.
Yeah.
And as my business kind of just took a different turn, and I really wanted to focus on the podcast, and I wanted to focus on, like, this is not just a short-term goal for me. Like, I want to be doing this with you guys for a long time.
Yeah,
100%.
So
from a cabin
even though
in
I really
Tennessee.
would love to live somewhere else for 6 months, I'm not going to.
Or if we had to
hang out with you guys, because I love hanging out with you guys
to film a bunch and then go to my place to film.
We're gonna go to Tennessee.
We're gonna go to Tennessee later this year.
Go to Florida.
Bring the baby.
You can do it from a cruise ship.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I like it. No.
What did you already say? What keeps you up at night?
I did not. No. I would say, I'm curious because I thought you said you had a guess. Did you not have a guess?
For what keeps you up at night? No, I had a guess for your question.
Oh, for my question. Okay. I'm sorry. I say, because Allie knows.
No.
What's your guess? I feel like I've been pretty vocal about it, but I don't know if.
Yeah, I would say just supporting, just the financial side of it would be something that keeps you up at night. Like, can I do this full time without having the second?
Yeah.
But maybe I'm wrong.
I would say that's a close second. Yeah. I would say the biggest thing that keeps me up at night, it kept me up last night, is, do I know what I'm doing? Am I good enough? Do I know what I'm doing?
Am I doing enough? Yeah.
Yeah. Like, do I actually have any real idea of what the heck I'm actually doing with this? Because
when you figure it out, let us know.
But I also, part of me is hopeful that I never do, because then I'll always keep trying to get better. Right?
Yeah.
So there's that piece. And then there's the other side of it that literally is like, did I just waste somebody's time and money? Right? Like, I had a shoot yesterday felt like it went really well. Got home, looked at the footage last night just before bed because I'm like, I'm just curious, just want to look at it really quick just to make sure things line up good. I know. I got to really stop. I got to learn.
I'm trying not to read emails before bed. Don't do that.
I was like, I just want to take a quick glance. I'm like, I was excited. I thought it went really well. And I was looking at it. I was like, like, I don't know if I'm happy with this. And I also realized that what it looks like on my computer is different than what it looks like on my phone, or it looks like different on like my laptop as opposed to like my bigger monitor. And for some reason, like what it looks like there and what it looks like on my phone are sometimes two totally different things.
Oh, I believe it.
So it always kind of makes me laugh because I'm like, I just don't know. Like that looks okay. But then I like see it on my phone. I'm like, oh, wow. Like that looks really good, Baxter. Nicely done. And I'm like, all right, good job for you. Right. Type of thing. But that's my biggest thing. And I've texted Allie at 11:30 at night multiple times being like, am I wasting my time? Do I even have any idea what I'm doing? Like, I feel like I am just spinning my wheels, and I'm like, but people still keep wanting to work with me. So there must be something here. And then I like spiral back and forth up and down. I'm like, all right, anyway, good night. And I'm just like,
it's like, am I faking it till I make it?
Yeah. I was like,
am I doing this or am I like just faking it?
But like, at the same time though, like, and I can say this because it's done now, but like, I just closed the biggest deal I've ever closed in my career just a few days ago.
Yay.
Like, and it was, thank you.
So
But it was a situation where I was like, okay, you are doing something right. Like obviously, like this is a huge brand
100%.
in the area that has reach with a bunch of different people. And it's like, clearly they wouldn't have reached out if they thought you were some trash person with a disposable camera, right? Like they clearly think that I'm doing something right. So like those moments of reminding myself of like, okay, you're doing the right things. But there are still moments where I'm like, gosh, like I was like watching refresher courses last night of like, make sure your camera's set to this. And I'm like, oh, Mike, well, okay, all that stuff is what I am doing. And I'm like, okay, I'm like, well, why am I in my own way then? I'm like, come on. So,
well, sometimes we're our own biggest enemy.
Yeah.
Right? As a business owner.
I think in entrepreneurship, it's always going to cycle back. You're always going to be cycling through these thoughts. You're going to have weeks on end where you're like, I am on top of the world. Yeah. I am doing I'm doing the best work I've ever done.
Yep.
That's where I was when I was in St. Lucia. This is the best place that I could be right now. And then you're going to have days and you're going to have weeks, and sometimes maybe it's a little bit more, but creatively you have to work hard to get yourself out of that funk, and to remember that people wouldn't continue to come back to you and continue to value your work and relationship and get coffee with you and get meals with you and talk with you on the phone and text with you if they did not value the work that you're providing.
And I think it's what you do with those statements.
Yes.
Can I get an amen?
Amen. That's what I said.
Yeah. Do you have the I am statements? Do you have the positive statements written down somewhere that you can readily, when you have that one negative thought creep in or that doubt creep in, can you read the, hey, I did this, I did this, I did this, I am this, I am this, I am this, I promise this, I do this. Do you go back to those so you're not staying in this place of doubt?
Yeah.
So if you don't, I did that when I first started in this business. I put little Post-it notes.
Yeah.
I am this, I am this, I am this. And if I had a bad day, I would read those dang Post-it notes.
I think one thing that I love doing that, and I've done pieces of that before. I've talked about, like, I have my little folder of like texts or emails that I've received from people before that I really like to read too. But one thing that I really love is my boss this year. She was like, have you ever done a list of things you're proud of? And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, things that you're proud of that you do in a year. And I was like,
on the big ass calendar.
Right, I could. Is that a spot for it? And I was like, no, I'm like, yeah, like, cause she's like, for like our annual review, she's like, just, give me a general list of things that like you accomplished or like you're happy that you did. And I was like, I've never really kept a list. I'm like, in marketing, like what I did yesterday is no longer relevant. And I moved on to something else. She's like, so she challenged me this year. She's like, I want you to make a list as the year goes along of every single thing you're proud of that you accomplished this year.
I love that.
And I was like, So I've gone already back a few times. Not that I haven't done a ton yet this year, but I've gone back a few times and been like, oh yeah. Like, all right. Like, I'm really proud of that kind of stuff already.
Well, and what a great thing to do for your kids too. Yeah. Like, I learned to do this, or I tried this, or I tackled this, or I got this. Why not? Why are we not doing it for our children?
Yeah, 100%.
Now you have your list and you have maybe your family list. Maybe your family's doing something that they're proud of that they haven't done before. Maybe it's serving or giving or something. But I love that.
It struck me, and as we're talking about it again, I was like, yeah, like that is something that I'm like really happy that I am doing as I can continue to grow and watch it happen throughout the year as well. I'm like, good for you, and having that forefront perspective from her mind to be like, hey, like this is something that I think you should try to do to keep track of it, but also just like allow yourself a little bit of a pat on the back sometimes of like, hey, good job. Like you should be proud of that because you helped launch this program or help launch this or do this or whatever. I'm like, oh.
And take it from someone too, like I obviously know you as a friend and I know you through working with you and things like that, but you know what you're doing.
I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
I think
have confidence in that, not to cut you off, but have confidence in the fact that people alongside you that are probably just looking at your social media. And I mean, you just posted something of like a coffee shop and it was like a 3-part in the reel. And I'm like, dang, that looks so good. It looks great. I think you know what you're doing, and every single day is a chance to learn something new. And every single session or every single booking and closing that you have on certain things and new partners and all this is a chance to learn and move forward and move the needle forward for yourself in learning new things and bringing new things under your belt, adding them to your resume.
And I love tackling these questions that we get all the time because sometimes we forget that there's so many people that don't know these things about us. So I love that. I'm going to segue a little bit back to something as we kind of close the door. We talked about a while ago, you brought it up about checking on your phone before you went to bed. And I said, I'm trying not to email. Yeah. We talked about being intentional about removing our phones from our bedrooms at night and not doing certain things. Are you doing it?
No.
I'm totally doing it, you guys.
Are you?
I'm doing it and I love it.
My phone is at my bedside.
Okay. So it's not an easy thing. For me at all. But because sometimes I like to do the mindless. This is why I had how many TikTok notifications?
250 plus.
Because I used to go to bed and watch TikTok and it would be 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. Scrolling. And I'd be like, I'm still scrolling. But I put the charger downstairs and I'm doing it. And I'm going to challenge you. We talked about doing this.
Yeah, we did.
On this podcast.
Absolutely, we did.
And you aren't doing it.
Is that part of the rest? That was the rest episode?
I think it was. So I'm going to challenge you.
I have to go back and think. Did I say that was the one what I was going to do?
think you said, but also, here's the thing. Not just to call you out on what you're not doing.
No, that's fine.
What you have been doing is working out 5 days a week and you've now incorporated running. And I was like, that's dang amazing. It. Because I'm not doing that.
Correct.
So I think that is one thing I love about this group too, is holding each other accountable and saying, okay, what are we doing? I filled out the big ass calendar. Yep. It is filled out. It's not done, but it is filled out and being used. And you guys are like, don't hang that ugly thing in your bedroom, but I'm going to because I need to see it.
Nothing sets the mood like a big ass calendar.
Right. Maybe you could put something called
to lay down and
planning.
See what my entire month has for in store for me.
Don't look this way because I'll get distracted and I won't be able to focus on what I'm doing.
Hopefully it's not on your left side when you roll onto your left side to sleep. It's right there staring you back in your face.
We just went to a R-rated podcast.
There we go.
No, but I think it's there's things that Allie has tackled that I want to tackle, that I aspire to be more like her. There's things hopefully that I'm doing that she aspires. And I think that is
back
all around. That is one thing that I love about this group is we're challenging each other, pushing each other, and encouraging each other along the way.
Yes.
Hopefully we encourage you too to take a step, look inward, look around you, tell somebody that they're doing a good job, reach out to any of us if you need help. If there's something that you're struggling with, we're always here. We love spending this time together. We love being here in this space and to just open up real conversation to you guys so that you feel like you're not alone.
And we would love to hear about something that you want to implement that you are maybe trying to implement, whether it's putting your phone on mute at night, do not disturb, mute, whatever, do not disturb at night, going for a walk 5 days a week, eating better, working out in the morning, reading your Bible. Been getting up in the morning and reading my Bible with my 10-year-old because that was a goal she set for herself for the year, was to read one chapter a day. And so she's like, Ma, and I got to tell you, I don't love it because I have to get up earlier. I have to get up earlier to do it, but that time together that her and I are doing it, and then we have some conversations about it. She's making me a better person. She's 10.
Right.
So like we can all just dig deep. So,
well, I love that. I was just going to say really fast as we're closing too, like, just like I was looking through like some of the people that like consistently comment on things, like saying thank yous to the, like the Tories and the Erics and the Troys and obviously Raleigh, of course, and Jays and Lauren. And there's people that are just consistently reaching out, the people that are behind Ink and Splash, right? Like people that are, and David, like people that are consistently saying things like, I love your show. Thank you for thank you for this. That really helped me.
Or just the like button.
Just exactly. Right. And those are just people that I've seen on a fast glance. Like there's people on both platforms, Facebook and Instagram, that are saying things or messaging and liking, and that means so much to us. And we
I'll
really
tell you one
appreciate
thing too, like that helps me sleep at night, knowing that we're reaching at least one of you to help you feel more confident or more just a part of something.
Connected
in general in your life. That's literally what this podcast is about.
Yeah.
So
love it.
Yeah.
Makes a big difference. Well, we appreciate you listening. If you are continuing to listen, you can do so on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. We are on all different other platforms for podcasting. If you listen to iHeartRadio or Amazon Music, you can ask Alexa to play our podcast if you want to.
I'm going to do that in my kitchen.
FYI, right? Yeah. So
if you want to see us.
If you want to see us, you can go to our YouTube channel. Yep. You can subscribe and watch full-length episodes there. We do obviously have our little shorts that we post on Instagram and
if that's
Facebook as well.
Get on it.
Yeah, we're opening applications, so we'll let you know if we find one. Take an ad out in a magazine, maybe we'll find somebody. You never know. I love you, ladies. I'm so grateful that we get to do this. I always look forward to this. So thank you for your time and expertise and all that you do.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.